Good morning, everybody. This is Clay.
And I'm Lloyd.
And this is Iron Sharpening Iron with the Kahler boys.
Take two.
Take two.
I know you're going to try to edit that out. When we screw up, we screw up.
That's right. That's right. Neither one of us had our microphones turned on. We'd already tried to start the podcast. Good morning, everyone. We are on the verge of the new year.
Yes, we are.
Now, let's just take a trip down memory lane.
Okay.
We had 2020.
Yeah.
2021. 2022.
You know what I remember the most of all?
2023. Mm-hmm. And we're bumping 2024.
I remember the March area of 2020.
Yeah.
Boy, that sticks in my craw.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you had COVID before it was cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had gotten sick. Well, it was right there
at the news yet.
It was right there at spring break, and I was working for the school.
Yeah.
And so I was going to work.
Yeah. And
school was out, and I had some things I wasn't working. Of course, you don't work full time because it's a they took more vacations. Good Lord, I had more time off.
Oh, I know.
But during the growing season, I was also in charge of keeping the grass cut. I couldn't take off 2 weeks.
No.
But that March season there, I was taking care of some stuff at school, and I was feeling bad one day. And you know what? How you turn that hair?
Yep. Sue got on to me.
I know. Good boy. But I was feeling bad, and I went to work.
Yeah. Well,
like I've done countless times
in
my career.
Yeah.
Unless I've got it coming out both ends, not to be graphic, I'm going to go to work.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. You're either miserable at home or you're miserable at work.
And if I'm miserable at home, A, I don't make any money.
Right.
And B, somebody else has got to do my job. Somebody else has got to stop what they're doing or what they're going to do and cover my slack.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, unless I'm losing fluids, then I'm going to, especially for what I do for a living now. Well, nowadays, I'm going to be only miserable around myself.
Right. Well, the reason I went through that recap is since 2020, we as a nation, as a society, have been on a steady downhill decline.
Ooh, could you call it downhill or free fall?
Free fall. That's a better way to put it. So
downhill is a little resistance.
Right. Well, but
some slowing. There's some bounces.
Interestingly enough, we are seeing some resistance.
We are now. We are.
Our big brother Frank lives up in Michigan.
Yeah,
I'm pretty proud of Michigan today.
They're stepping up against the Second Amendment, or not against it, but for the Second Amendment.
Well, and they refused. Their Supreme Court had the same case that Colorado had, trying to take Trump off the ballot, and they said no.
I heard something last night on that, and it just went all over me.
Yeah.
They're talking about that. They're talking about what great victory this was. And I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. And I guess it's the wording. They said they're allowing Trump.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
Right.
That's the same kind of language when they wanted us to get the vaccine, and the people that wanted to do their own research, heaven forbid, didn't want to get it. You were refusing the shot.
Yeah.
You were anti-vax.
Right.
It's this negative talk and this allowing. What is that? This is still the United States of America. What do you mean allowing? I mean,
and despite that wording, and I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but the fact is,
I know, and I know where you're getting, and I'm glad.
And I'm thrilled to death.
I am too. I am too. But it's still, and it's the what I heard was a clip off of mainstream media. So it's still mainstream media painting that.
Yeah. Oh,
horrible language. The narrative still, he's being allowed.
Yeah.
Like it just really bothered
me. Like they're doing him a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and but man.
Oh,
I'm still saying.
Speaking of which, this is a Christmas gift I got.
I'm still saying, man, that their dog in the cage shoved in the corner, man. They cannot allow Trump to win or any Republican.
No.
In it that is like that.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with that whole countdown from 2020. Yeah. 2024, we got an election year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 wars going on.
And according to our vice president, it's the most election ever. If you got to have an election, you got to have the most election
That's
of
right.
elections
That's right.
ever.
Yeah, you definitely have to have an election.
It could, well, the most election.
The most election. That's right.
It's the most election. It is. I didn't know that until I saw her say it, and then I knew. I knew then, and I was like, I'm right there with you.
That's right. She's brilliant. She's such a genius.
She's a wordsmith.
Hey, let's do the scripture of the day.
Okay. Wordsmith, I say.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in honor of the coming new year, I am coming out of a well-worn, well-known passage that most of our audience are probably familiar with.
Jesus wept.
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. And this is for the new year. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new.
Amen.
Amen.
I can feel that. Old things. I felt my old things pass away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Crowder's got that song, All My Hope Is in Jesus. And there's a line in that song that just puts chills on me. He says, thank God my yesterday's gone.
Boy, you ain't kidding.
Isn't that something? So as we approach this new year, as the entire thing is burning down around us, and we approach this new year, keep in mind, if you are in Christ, all things are new.
These are available on the Etsy store.
That's right. Link in the description. All right.
I'm just going to leave it right there.
Yeah, that is my biggest seller.
I love it.
I have sold more of those than anything else that I make. And it's my John Wayne bathroom sign. I got to explain it so folks understand what they're looking at. And it's a fake quote. Rooster Cogburn never said this. It's something I made up. But I attributed it to him just for the comedic value of it. And it says, you hang it over your toilet, and it says, if you can't hit what you're aiming at, maybe you should move closer.
And you can order this sign. You can't order this one.
Right.
Because this one's mine.
That's right.
And it's going to go hang above my toilet.
That's right. Oh, Merry Christmas, old man.
Not
a little bit late.
Yeah,
Well, so anyway, 2024. We are on the doorstep of it, the precipice of it. And it's going to be one heck of a year.
I was going to ask you, what's your forecast, man? What do you think? What do you think, man?
Well, you look at what's going on. You've got multiple wars going on around the world.
Rumors of wars.
Speaking of which, something just crawls all over me. We have American troops under constant fire, and we're not doing a thing about it.
Nothing. They continue.
We launched a missile.
Yeah, a missile.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we're supplying other troops with mass amounts of money and arms.
Yeah, foreign troops.
Yeah. Foreign troops, and we're doing nothing for our guys.
That video I sent you the other last night. That guy there's this guy. He's on YouTube, and it's through TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network. And this guy is an IDF soldier, active in the Gaza Strip, but he's a Christian, and he gives daily updates of what's going on over there. And I watch this guy religiously, and he constantly, every one of his videos, he ends it with asking for prayer for him and for the IDF, and he says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I just love this guy. I seriously love this guy. And I was watching him. In fact, it was the same video that I sent you last night. They were showing these caches of weapons that they had gotten from the from Gaza.
Yeah,
and there was
from the terrorists.
There were M4 machine guns.
That
United States Army issue M4 machine guns.
Wonder where they got those.
I wonder if there's any time in the recent past that the United States left a bunch of weapons behind somewhere.
Oh, no. I covered that in our last podcast. That feller said we didn't do that. He said we did not do that. Now you're just spouting something. Misinformation.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. He said the Afghan people did it.
Oh, yeah.
He blamed it on the Afghan people that were scared of the Taliban.
The thing is that you have American weapons in the hands of the terrorists, of the Hamas terrorists in Gaza, fighting against our ally,
that
Israel.
pumping tons of money into Israel,
right,
to help defend, and rightly so, absolutely. So. But we're defending against our own weapons.
That's right.
We funded both sides of this. It's like we funded both sides of this.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. That's almost like we're a warmonger state.
Imagine that.
Almost like we just gotta have the.
It's almost like we have a military-industrial complex that we depend on for our economy.
Yeah, and we have to keep the war machine going at all costs, including human lives.
At all costs.
Yeah. Our sons and daughters and other people's sons and daughters.
Yeah. I would tell you this guy's name, but I can't pronounce it. But he's really good. I enjoy watching him, and just you can tell just by watching him. You know, I've gotten to know the guy. I just have a soft spot in my heart for this fella. He's.
I think the next place we're going to see war break out is possibly right here in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Arizona. Was it Arizona we were talking about a minute
ago?
Katie Hobbs. They were.
Another stolen election?
Yeah. She was marching out the National Guard. She said, the media says it like this, against Biden's orders, which I don't get that. We're defending the border. You're trying to keep the border safe, and that's not.
Well, interestingly enough, the National Guard is under the purview of the governor, so Biden doesn't really have anything to say about it.
Right, but this is like against his plan, agenda. I know it's against his agenda.
Well, yeah.
And they said, and the guy that was doing the reporting, he was down there on the border, and he said, we haven't seen anybody yet. He said, but we did see over 54,000 people come across the border in the last week.
Yeah.
54,000 people. And he said most of them were single, middle-aged men.
Yeah.
What you would call fighting
military age. Yeah.
Soldier age.
And then now you've got this huge caravan coming up from South America, coming through Mexico right now. I mean, they said this is the biggest one since like 2020. Thousands and thousands of people in this caravan.
Well, I watched a video clip of Biden explaining this, and he said we have an unlimited stream of immigrants, and that's what we want.
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing. All of the people that know about this stuff, all the commentators and whatnot on the news, they were talking about the fact that we're in the winter. This is usually when illegal immigration slows down because it's more arduous traveling in the winter.
Especially when we send them to Chicago.
Yeah.
That's tough living, baby.
I'm telling you.
Homeless in Chicago in the middle of winter.
Oh, dude, that's rough.
That's rough living. That's too tough for anybody. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Chicago's rough anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be sitting there eating breakfast and get shot.
Yeah, true enough. Well, they got the strictest gun control laws. That's wrong. You're spouting more misinformation. You're a little full of it today.
According to the previous mayor, the reason that Chicago has such a firearms problem is because of the surrounding states that don't have the gun control laws that Illinois has.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all trafficked in. Of course, every gun, I guarantee you, every gun that's used in every crime in the city of Chicago is stolen from somewhere.
Yeah. Was part of a previous crime.
Right, yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. It just drives me nuts, dude. I did see a clip our buddy Kahler.
Yeah, Kahler on the war.
He put out. He said, "You want to protect." He wanted to show a clip of how to protect yourself, and it was in Chicago, as a matter of fact. And it was a man in Chicago, and he was approached by 3 teenagers armed, and they wanted his belongings.
Yeah.
Well, they were unknowingly he was an armed individual with a concealed license. Which is rare in Chicago. Yes, and he pulled his firearm and fired first, and he wounded 2, and the other one jumped in the car and took off and crashed his car trying to get away and broke his leg in the car crash.
Oh, gosh.
And, if it wouldn't have been for that man protecting himself with this Second Amendment, we have God-given right to protect ourselves.
Right.
He'd have been a victim.
Yeah.
At very least, he'd have got all his stuff stolen.
And on top of that, he wouldn't have been their last victim.
No.
They would have kept going.
Well, sure. Especially when you have success at something.
Right.
You keep going. I mean,
I think that's something a lot of people don't think about in this regard is it's not, yes, you're protecting yourself and your property and your family, but you're also preventing future crime.
Right.
And that's
and I mean, and it's a shame that these are teenagers.
I know.
It breaks my heart when I hear about this.
Washington D.C. A 13-year-old girl killed a dude carjacking him.
Yeah,
13-year-old girl
breaks my heart, man.
I know
that baby didn't even have a chance to live yet.
No.
She had her entire childhood stolen from her.
Yeah,
stolen from her,
and it's all because
forced to be and she's and I'm gonna say it. She's forced. At 13 years old, you're not making no decisions. And it all didn't happen at 13.
Right.
Her childhood was robbed from her in such a way, and I don't know her. I don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
No idea about her bringing up. But I guarantee, if you investigated, it was robbed in such a way that she was forced to be a hardened adult.
Yeah.
Before she was a double-digit midget.
Right.
You know, before she reached 10 years of age.
Yeah.
She was forced to be doing adult things.
Well, and you know, this I get probably a family tradition.
And it might have been. It might have been. You know, it's what she learned.
Raised by gangbanger.
Right.
You know? But yeah, 13-year-old girl. She carjacked this dude, and he was trying to keep up with the car, and he fell, and she ran over him and killed him. Yeah, that was like 2 years ago. It's amazing the world that we live in, the society that we are in right now. And you know, you and I, we're pretty well insulated from a lot of this, most of this, because of where we live.
Where we live, yeah. Geographically,
we live in a
small town, and everything around us is either small towns or open country.
Yeah, and
farmers and whatnot.
So
I love it.
We don't see firsthand a lot of this now. In Wichita Falls, man, the murder rate's climbing.
Yeah, and we have some crazy bold stuff in Wichita too.
Yeah. Well, and you know, my job's in Wichita, and I'm dealing with that craziness on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as like you know, the protests and the pro-Hamas knuckleheads and all of this other stuff, we're not seeing that firsthand. We see it on the news. It's happening in the bigger cities. It's happening down in Dallas.
Yeah,
which is just 2 hours south.
Yeah, it's just a little hop skip.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't see it around here. Have you seen?
Not yet.
Have you seen the thing where people are swatting? Have you heard that term, swatting?
Yes.
They're swatting synagogues now.
Oh God.
Yeah. So on Saturdays when synagogues are in worship, SWAT team shows up because of a false report that there were gunshots at the synagogue, and it's all just to harass and intimidate.
Just,
you know,
disrupt, intimidate, and
yeah.
Golly.
Did you see that New York Representative Cortez's office where they vandalized his office? They took a doll, a baby Jesus doll, covered it in blood, and laid it in front of his door and said that it was a Palestinian child that was murdered by Israel. Just insane.
I watched a preacher talk about how Jesus was born in the Palestinian-occupied Israel. That's what he said. And this guy was putting the video on. He interrupted right there, and he said, "Remember what the Bible says. You will be deceived."
Yeah.
He said, there was no Palestine.
No.
He said it wasn't. He said it was occupied by Rome. That's what he said. He said it was occupied by the Romans.
Yeah.
He said, but that is just absolute false teaching. And because he's got his little suit on with his dumb collar, he thinks he's of authority. And there's people that will believe and follow what he says.
Well, and that's one of the things that these pro-Hamas folks are saying now. That's become a thing, that Jesus was Palestinian.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was a Jew.
Yeah, he was Jewish.
Flat out Jew.
Yeah.
Read the word.
Yeah. Read.
Matthew chapter 1 gives you his lineage, all the way from Abraham up through Joseph and Mary.
Well, and anything that's truth.
Yeah.
Is now what they call it subjective.
Oh, yeah.
We have subjective facts. I watched another stupid interview, and this girl said, what the problem is in our society today is we're too worried about facts when we need to be worried about feelings. That's what she said. And she was standing
That's funny.
And she was at a college campus.
That's funny.
And
oh, my goodness.
The guy even questioned her about, maybe she mixed her words up.
Yeah.
You know, you get all excited and maybe you just kind of misspoke, and that's understandable. I've misspoke myself once. No, never mind. I was right about that too. But But no, she doubled down. She was like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
That's amazing. Well, look.
She said feelings are the only thing that's real, and facts are subjective.
That just hurts me.
I say
that's painful.
Go cry. I don't want this girl to die for sure. No. But what I say is go crawl up on an 8-foot ladder.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the fact about gravity.
Right.
And then you put it your objectiveness right. And try it.
Well, there's one theologian that was talking about relativism. He said he finds it interesting that relativists still look both ways before they cross the street. Yeah. Because whether you believe it or not, the bus is real. You saw what's going on in Montana. The ACLU is suing the state of Montana. Montana passed a law or a statute, and in it they defined gender as either male or female. And so now the ACLU is suing Montana because that law discriminates against non-binary and gender fluid folk. And they actually say in the lawsuit that it is in contradiction to the science. Oh, apparently now science says there's an unlimited number of genders. It used to be just politics and knuckleheads, but now apparently science says
well, that. You can get scientists.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's all about grants and money.
Well, yeah. Well, the whole global warming, climate change fiasco. Absolutely.
Their number one argument of that was, well, the scientists that we talk to.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you mean the same scientists you're funding. Yeah. And if they don't come up with the results you want, you get different scientists because you cut the funding.
He who pays the piper picks the tune.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go. Another lawsuit I heard going on.
Yeah.
Is man, I'm going to get this wrong. I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try. I'll give you the gist of it.
All
right. The big pharma company put down the vaccines.
Pfizer.
They are suing a country. Now they're a United States
company.
They're suing some country because they have ruled against anybody taking that vaccine.
Yeah.
They ruled against their vaccine being in that country. And so they're trying to sue them. How do you sue a whole other country? I mean, big pharma's big.
Yeah.
Big.
Interesting. Huh. So we are on the verge of 2024. We've got multiple wars going on, and we have a presidential election on the doorstep.
The most election.
The most election. And we've got the number one candidate for the Republican side is under indictment on, was it 97 charges now?
91 or 97.
Yeah, something like that. Colorado has decided to try and remove him from the ballot. And there are 17 other states that have or are trying it.
And Michigan's going to allow it.
Yeah, Michigan's going to
allow that.
Like you said so very well in the very beginning of this, there is no possible way that the Democrats can allow a conservative Republican to be elected to office.
The corruption's too deep.
Yeah, well,
the light will be shined.
If Donald Trump takes that office again, he is going to pull back the curtain on everything.
Everything.
He's going to declassify all kinds of stuff.
And yeah, and I heard one of his speeches saying just that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think we're going to get Epstein's list.
I want Epstein's list.
I think we're going to get it.
So bad. Why can't we see that list, Clay?
Well, because the people that are in control of that list are on that list.
But the one judge said that we was going to see it. But then
redacted.
That same judge said, if you're on the list and you don't want to be exposed on the list, you can appeal to me.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Right.
Does that mean line in the pocket? I don't want to accuse this judge of nothing.
No.
I don't even know who the judge is, and I have no reason to think that the judge is being corrupt like that.
But there's something.
But why?
Yeah.
Why would that even be an option?
Right.
If mine and your name was on the list, I guarantee you we could appeal, but they would giggle.
Yeah.
Because we don't have nothing to offer.
Right.
We have nothing. I mean, you want to sign? You can put it up in Epstein's house. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Just no transparency, no accountability. Once again, we allowed to lie. I've been watching. I know you've seen this too. You've seen both Biden and Kamala Harris and that lying press secretary.
Oh gosh, yeah. Queen Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, whatever. All of them tell this thing about how Biden created all these jobs. And how the economy is so good, and how this is going, and how Bidenomics is working. You know, and
we're in the best position we've ever been in.
Ever as a country. Ever. And you know, I was thinking about this. Why is that all right? That's not the facts. I mean, that's not the facts at all.
No.
At all. This we created 14 million jobs. No. This is all the jobs that are recovered from COVID.
Right.
That the government shut down for this fake reason.
All the people that lost their jobs during COVID have been rehired.
Yeah, you didn't create.
That's not new jobs.
No, you didn't create nothing. But then you got to remember that in 2014, when Obama changed the propaganda law, where it's legal.
Oh yeah.
To tell us false stuff through the media.
Right.
They can say anything they want.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be true. There's no accountability at all.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Which he can stand up there and he can say unemployment is 0.
And we see that play out at every news conference.
And then that
Mayorkas testifying before Congress that the border is secure.
Yeah. And it's okay.
How?
Propaganda. I'm allowed to say that. I can say anything I want.
And here's the sad part about it. The vast majority of our fellow citizens get all of their news from NBC, CNN, and they don't know any different.
I have conservative, Republican, Bible-believing friends that when I tell them things, they look at me with like I got a third eye sometimes, and then I show them, and they're going, why don't we hear that same news?
Yeah.
And I said, well, because the news media is bought and paid for, and what'd you say a while ago? Whoever pays the piper picks the tune.
That's right.
And if you ain't paying the piper, you ain't picking the tune. Right. I wrote emails. I know I've said this before, and I wrote emails to our local news stations.
Yeah.
And asked them, why didn't we? The thing I was wanting to hear about, or what prompted these emails, was when that head dude of the up in Washington got busted in the child trafficking. Hooker ring.
Yeah.
And it was not. That's major news. This is an elected official that is in charge of the education of the children of the military people.
Right.
And he's busted in child trafficking?
Right. And
you don't hear a peep?
Nothing.
Well, if that would have been anybody involved in the Trump administration at all.
Right.
Oh, it would have been plastered.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have had it on billboards.
Well, the nuclear guy that was a cross-dresser, bald-headed, wearing lipstick,
the one
stealing suitcases at the airport.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Got caught on video multiple times.
Yeah.
I bet he didn't do a day in jail.
I don't know.
I bet he didn't.
And we don't know because you don't hear anything about it.
That's right.
You know what else we haven't heard anything about in a long time? Hawaii.
No, I know.
That just kind of went off the radar, didn't it?
Yeah.
Got no clue what's going on over in Hawaii right now.
And ain't nobody pulled fire alarms lately. Lied about that.
He thought it opened the door. And before he was a congressman, he was a principal.
Yeah. And how many fire drills was he in charge of? And how many times did he meet with, I worked in the school systems, man. And just as a facility manager, I met with fire people. 3 times a year?
Yeah, regularly.
3 times a year at least?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd come in the summer and just
do inspections,
evaluate, look at stuff. Sometimes one time they came in the summer just to visit with me as a facilities manager to get me up on snuff about different stuff on their fire alarms.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I wasn't even a principal. I knew how the fire alarms worked. Of course, then again, I knew how they worked in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was sooner than that, but I know by the 8th grade, I knew that handle. I knew that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I knew it in the 8th grade, because I set the alarm off in the 8th grade because I didn't want to take a math test.
Right.
And they yanked that thing and I ran out the 6th grade wing. Statute of limitations run out on that, y'all.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, my goodness.
But
so what else do you believe 2024 is going to hold for us, man? Possibly the rapture of the church.
Yeah, possibly the rapture of the church.
He himself shall descend with a shout and the voice of an archangel and the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first, and we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with him in the clouds.
In the clouds. I want him to just give me a second to pause. So I can get the Heisman Trophy move.
Yeah, there you go.
And get out of there.
See you,
I tell you what, I know for sure is going to happen in 2024.
Yeah.
As long as I got breath in my lungs, I'll continue to praise God and love that woman that He gave me.
That's right.
And march forward just as best as I can. And I know that God will continue to give me the strength I need every single day to accomplish whatever task I need. I know that. I know that for a fact.
Well, and there's something else that I can say based on this word that I know. I know, and this is going to sound really depressing and defeatist, but I know things aren't going to get any better in 2024.
No, I don't see them getting better.
No. We are on the downhill slide.
I don't see our government getting better. I don't see the people of the world, society itself getting better. I don't see these crazy ideas changing anytime soon. No. I don't see an attack on children going away at all. Matter of fact, I continue to see it ramping up.
Right.
We just talked about the last podcast about how we're funding drag shows for children on military bases.
Right.
That can't be nothing but sexual, dude.
Well, it's satanic is what it is. It's demonic.
Why would you want to introduce a child to that?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, boy.
Well, can you imagine kindergarten teachers asking children what their sexual orientation is?
I don't know. Can you imagine if Lee T walked in on me or you in the 5th grade and it was at a drag show?
No.
I pray for. I shudder to think. I think the people in that building would have took a beating.
Yeah.
I believe the old man would have went off. He'd have went off Vietnam on him.
Rightly so.
He would have lost it. Rightly I guarantee you. That man would have lost it.
Yeah. As much as I miss him, I'm glad that he's not having to deal with the crap that we're seeing in our nation.
There's a few people I feel that way.
Yeah.
They really are.
Grandpa Thomas is another one.
Yeah.
A lot of the old timers that we miss that are gone, but by God's grace, they're not having to deal with this. They're not having to see this on the news. They're not having to see these purple-haired kids marching in New York City in support of terrorists that raped and murdered men, women, and children and elderly. Just insane, man. It's insane.
Insanity of it. And what gets me is these people that are marching, especially the people in the United States, the vast majority of them have no idea.
Yeah.
What they're marching for, or who they're supporting deep down.
Here's the thing. They're out there marching in support of a group of people that would kill them if they had the opportunity.
Would absolutely
I guarantee you,
throw them off a building.
I guarantee you that Hamas does not have a viewpoint of gender fluidity that matches your own.
No, there's no argument in the Gaza Strip of what bathroom you're allowed to use.
Exactly.
Or the way you dress or don't dress. I mean, they have, they're talking about supposedly our society is intolerant. You don't talk about intolerant.
Man, I'm
telling you. You and your crazy ideas on over to the Middle East and see how they greet
I would donate to plane tickets to send some of these kids over there.
Sure. I tell you what would be a really neat experiment if you could do it is you send a good handful of them over and somehow ensure their safety.
Right.
Somehow ensure their safety and let them see firsthand of who and what they're supporting. And let them just immerse them in it for a couple of weeks and suck them back out.
Yeah.
And then let them go to therapy afterwards.
Say, now what?
And now, do you still want to go back to your country?
Now, like any field trip, you got to have a chaperone. So I'm thinking that President Gay from Harvard, she could be the chaperone.
Oh, did you hear about what Harvard's doing?
No.
They are setting themselves up for lawsuits, dude.
Oh, no.
She has been busted because she went on. She done this to herself. She went into Congress.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't define harassment or harassing speech.
She wouldn't condemn calls for genocide.
None of that. So then other people, because she was going to sit up there and be an ass, and other people got to looking in her past and found all kinds of plagiarism. They found over 40 counts of plagiarism.
Yeah.
Then they put the fire to the university and said, what y'all going to do? What you going to do? They redefined plagiarism. How are you going to ever accuse another student of plagiarism without a lawsuit. They said no, it was duplicate language without the accommodations.
Improper citations is what they called it.
Well, yeah.
Because when you quote somebody in a scholarly paper, you have to cite your source.
Right. And they said she used, it wasn't plagiarism, it was duplicate language.
Isn't that something?
That's what they're calling it, duplicate language. So as a student, if you write a paper and you plagiarize the whole paper, you can just claim duplicate language because your president can.
So let me
if my president can.
Let me throw this out there. Imagine if you were a Harvard student that got expelled for plagiarism in the past.
I would already have my law papers. I'm already contacted my lawyer.
Absolutely.
Because how much money did I have invested into that school?
Right.
Before I got kicked out because I broke the rules. But now they're not the rules anymore.
Sure.
So good for thee, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a guy talking about it last night. He said, I see in the forecast lawsuits against Harvard big time.
Absolutely.
He said you can't condemn one group of people when your president is guilty, bad guilty of it. Not just a couple times, over 40 times, they said.
You want to hear something heartbreaking? Both Harvard and Yale were originally established as Christian seminaries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, imagine that.
Well, they're very far from being anything Christian over there now.
I'm telling you, brother. I
wouldn't send, we talked about this before. I would be so hesitant in sending a child of mine to college.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you don't know what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
The indoctrination is just so pervasive.
And once again, these kids are just, they're young and they have multiple minds and they're parroting things they don't even understand. They're supporting things they don't even understand.
Yep.
And they get, if you start asking them about it, they have no answers because they have nothing to support their belief.
Yeah.
If you ask
but they're adamant about it.
Oh, yeah. But until you ask them the wrong questions and you got to back them into the corner, then they just call you names, scream at you, and say you shouldn't be on this campus. One girl was telling this guy last night, said, you're not even supposed to be here. Because he was supporting Trump at this college.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, Trump's just a racist. Like, okay.
Name one thing.
We all have our opinions. And he said, that's fantastic. He said, I have my opinions on a lot of things too. And if you'll ask me about one of my opinions, I will give you something that will back up my opinion. I just pulled it out of the air.
Right.
And he said, so give me a reason why you think that President Trump is racist. And she said, I could give you a bunch of them. He said, okay, well, I'm just wanting one.
Yeah.
Let's just start with one. Yeah. And that'll get the conversation rolling. And then we can discuss this like grown people. And he was truly trying to have a conversation with her. He wasn't being sarcastic. He wasn't being hateful. Which he had all kinds of room to because she was leaving the ballpark wide open for any kind of, I don't know, smart aleck like myself.
Yeah.
I could have just chewed it up. She was just leaving it. But he wasn't. He was being super polite, very respectful.
Yeah.
And he was just really trying to have a conversation. And that's what we don't have anymore.
Right.
We don't have conversations. Me and you talked about God for many, many years. You know what I mean?
That's
but eventually the conversation come around and you were right.
Imagine that.
But eventually I was open to the conversation. Yeah. And that was my problem is I wasn't open to the conversation.
Right.
I didn't want to hear it. And that's exactly what I would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Your argument wouldn't be an argument because my answer would be, man, I don't want to hear your hooey.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew right then that you was just, you
yeah, we were done with the conversation.
Done with it because there's no reception, and that's what it is now. There's no conversation to be had.
Right.
And she couldn't give an example of what he was racist about. And then she said, "Well, didn't he have his militia kill people?" And that's exactly what the interview looked at. He's like,
where are you getting that?
He said, when did he do that? He said, I'd like to know about that.
Yeah.
That's news.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it happened. Okay. He said,
when?
What people that were killed or where or when, or give me some kind of, let's get something we can work off.
I wonder if she's talking about Soleimani maybe.
And she said, well, it's what I heard.
Yeah.
And he said, that's the problem. He said, what you heard may not necessarily be the truth. And you can't just take what you heard and run with it.
Right.
Investigate. He said, and if you truly investigate, you won't find nothing that he's done that was racist. As a matter of fact, he's been in support of the minority communities for long before he was president.
There is a leader of Black Lives Matter out of Rhode Island, I think, and I saw him on the news. He has come out in support of Trump.
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
And he, in this interview,
there's a bunch of different groups that used to be Democrat that are done.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is like the local leader of Black Lives Matter, and a lot of black folks are upset with him over this. But the interviewer asked him, said, "Why are you supporting Trump?" And he said, "Trump is the most pro-black president that we've ever had in my lifetime." And if you look at all the things that Donald Trump did for the minority communities, it's amazing. The Opportunity Zone.
Sure.
He made permanent the assistance to historically black colleges, which that had never been done. Obama didn't do that.
Right.
Clinton didn't do that. Number of things. Justice reform. So many things that he did to help out minority communities, both Hispanic and African American. It's amazing.
He's a rich white guy, so he has to be racist. Has to be. What about George Soros? He's a rich white guy too. Is he not racist? No, he's just evil.
He is all kinds of stuff.
You hear the wonderful candidate there. What's her name? Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
They asked her. Some guy asked her in one of the little community meetings or whatever, what started the Civil War? And she's like, whew, well, you didn't come with an easy one. Really?
Wow.
She had to study and think about it. Then she said nothing about slavery. Nothing.
Really?
Then she said, well, it was probably the way the government was acting and their control about what people could and couldn't do. Wow. You're gonna run. You want to run our country, and you don't even know the history of our country. You know, I heard a guy last night. He said,
I heard somebody call her Hillary Clinton 2.0.
Yeah, I heard a guy last night. He said, "Do you remember the last time that a candidate was pulled off the ballot?"
During the Civil
War. Yeah, right before the Civil War, and Abe Lincoln days.
Yeah,
that's the last time.
Isn't that something?
That's something. But yeah, they asked that. She wants to be president.
I know.
And she can't answer the question of why this. I mean, that's a pretty huge spot in our history.
Yeah.
You'd think that would be rated up there.
And it's fairly recent when you're talking about history. That was 200 years ago. You know, that was fairly recent, man.
And she had no idea, dude. But our education, God, you want to laugh and cry at the same time. There's a bunch of people on YouTube, and they go around colleges.
Yeah.
And they ask these silliest questions.
Yeah. Like, how many states are there?
Oh, no, even sillier than that. Like, how many dimes are in a dollar?
Yeah. I've seen those. Oh, my. And there's this one guy, no matter what they say, he goes, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's several of them that do that. They get so excited that they got the answer right. Like, oh. One girl wanted to know something about continents, and she named Arkansas and Louisiana, and then she named a city. I can't remember which city.
Yeah.
But she named 2 states and a city. And he was like, that's right. She's like, I knew it. I knew it.
And these are college students.
These are
college students. They passed an SAT to get into the college. Absolutely.
And they're studying diversity.
Yeah, gender equity or something.
Yeah.
What do we owe a couple of generations a huge apology. We have robbed them of
everything they've
worthwhile education
or worked for.
Yeah. Educationally speaking, the United States of America is at the bottom of all countries.
When we get off this podcast, I'm going to ask you something about our education system that I don't dare say. Guy brought it up the other day. It made sense, a little bit of sense anyway. Yeah. But anyway, when our education kind of started changing, but kind of correlates it with certain things. And makes you go hum. You know, you never thought about it before, but then you're like, well, maybe. But anyway,
you know, I saw something really interesting on the news yesterday. They actually graphed this out, and they're talking about the intentional change of language in our culture. And one of the things that they were pointing out were phrases like systemic racism. Um, they showed this graph from like the 1970s, and it's flatline how many times that phrase was in the news media. And in 2012, under Obama, it shot way up.
Toxic masculinity is another one.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of these phrases. And this guy has been studying this. And he was talking about the fact that every one of these phrases and words that have become a part of our national lexicon now, as of 2012, every one of them starts in 2012 and shoots straight up. They all come out of the Marxist playbook. It's all about divide and conquer.
Dude, we are big time division.
Oh man, ridiculous.
And you know, as long as we as a people stay divided,
yeah,
we will never win.
No, well, absolutely not. You know,
if as long as the white community and the black community and the Hispanic community and the Asian community and all the others,
and the transgender community and the gay and straight community,
as long as we stand around and point the fingers at each other, then we won't see the problem.
Well, and one of the things that
we won't see our common enemy, our common denominator, is who's driving that force.
Yeah. And one of the things that he was pointing out about that is he said that it does not frighten the powers that be. It doesn't bother the powers that be when we're arguing about abortion, or when we're arguing about transgender rights, or we're arguing about what bathroom to use.
No,
that doesn't frighten them. What frightens them is when we start looking around and we start talking about the economy, and we start talking about policy issues, and we start talking about the southern border, and all of a sudden that is what causes them consternation. That's what causes the ruling class to be concerned, and so they just keep us stirred up. And if all you're watching is legacy media, all you're getting is a steady diet of this division.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just,
it's poison.
Yeah.
It's absolute poison, man.
And it's intentional.
Oh, sure.
It's intentional.
Sure. House divided falls.
Yeah. Yeah. And as long as they've got us fighting each other, we're not even looking outside of that fight.
Yeah. You know, I also heard that was kind of disturbing, and I don't know if it's true, but I've started to do a little research, but I don't know where to research. The donations to the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that they have found that 60% of them come from China. Does that mean that China is funding our Democratic Party?
Yeah.
If 60% of the donations are coming from a foreign government, does that don't even make sense. How is that okay?
Right. It's interesting.
And like I said, I don't know that to be 100% fact. I heard it last night, and I did a little bit of research on it. I tried to maybe go back and find some other videos, and I found several other videos that said the same thing from different sources. And once again, I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't know how to research where donations. I know that's public information, but I think you got to have a freaking lawyer's degree to figure that out. I don't know. But interesting. If anybody got any insight on that, on how to figure that out or see where the donations come from, it's kind of interesting that if 60% of their donations from a foreign country.
But you know, you think about it, man. Foreign countries have always been involved in our elections.
Well, sure. And they always will be, because they have an interest.
Just like we're involved in other countries'
Sure,
elections.
and they have an interest. Yeah, they have an interest in elections. There's presidents that were good for some countries and not good for other countries.
I guarantee you, China does not want Trump back in the White House. And neither does Iran.
No,
neither does Russia.
None of them do, because he has a backbone.
Right.
And he's not standing up there wandering around looking for the exit.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
I got two things to say. You
know, right now he is down in St. Croix, the Virgin Islands.
Is he vacationing?
Yeah.
He needs it, though.
He is.
He needs a good rest. He's had a tough time.
He has been on vacation over 400 days.
God,
during this entire,
and I thought I got a bunch of time off working for the schools. I felt guilty at the schools taking off all that time.
I saw this on the news the other day. I forget the exact number, but it's over 400 days of vacation in the last 3 years. That's over a year. So in the last 3 years, he's had over a year off.
That's quite a bit over a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Wish I could find a job like that.
Well, you're not crooked enough.
No.
You're not crooked enough. You can't be bought.
No. Oh, my goodness.
I can persuade you with a steak dinner, but only to go to Wichita.
Yeah.
You know? And then once the steak dinner's gone, my persuasion power is pretty much left too.
That's pretty much it.
But, yeah, you can't be bought. You can't be, persuaded and paid for. So you can't find a job like that.
Speaking of which.
Well, he also had a pretty sweet gig with Harvard. Yeah, Biden.
Oh,
Joe Biden had they were paying him over $1 million a year for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then they also got a huge donations from China.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
I mean, I'm just no dumb hillbilly, but man, you can draw some lines in there somewhere. You know what I mean?
Well,
there's got to be a few connections somewhere, but there's no evidence. There's no evidence.
Well, we talked about this before, but the fact that China is allowed to own all of this farmland here in the United States, all near military bases, it's interesting.
Allowed to fly their
hot air balloons.
Hot air balloons over the whole entire United States.
Yeah.
Didn't want to shoot it down because we was worried about, civilians on the ground, but they flew it all the way across Montana that is so populated.
Right. Well, they spotted it coming out of Alaska.
I know. They spotted it they could have shot it over the West Coast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, if you got a deal, you got a deal. A deal's a deal.
You know something we haven't done in a while? If you like what you're seeing, like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to have you as a regular part, and you can get notifications when we upload. We try to upload every Thursday.
And if you don't like what you see,
well,
make a comment anyway.
Sure.
And tell us maybe what you want to hear.
Yeah. And if you really don't like what you see, then scroll on past and find another video because there's a lot of them on here.
Yeah, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
You know what? We need to...
My care meter, Clay.
Yeah. It's pretty much empty. I know.
Running dry. Yeah. Just running dry, dude. I know. I just watching just the erosion of our society and our morals and everything we held near and dear when we was kids. Yeah. Just watching it just wiped away. Yeah. And then I'm watching this younger generation, kids that want to be good.
Right.
They got to struggle.
Yeah.
They're the minorities, and I don't know, just aggravating.
I agree. Speaking of good kids, your daughter Shauna, who was our first live guest on the air.
There you go.
She serving in the Navy.
Yes.
And she surprised you with a nice Christmas present, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She bought me the classic buck knife outdoors.
Isn't that something?
And it is nice. Oh.
Such a good kid.
Yeah.
All your kids are good
saw kids. that buck knife box.
Yeah.
She said, "Do you know what it is?"
No, I have no clue.
I said, "I got a pretty good idea there, dear."
Yeah. That's fantastic.
She's gotten me several knives, lots of knives through the years.
Yeah.
And she knows what to get.
I love that. So going back to Brandon on vacation, you and we need to really seriously talk about this Axis deer trip.
I don't know how I'm gonna pull it off, brother.
No.
I've
already started putting money back for it.
Well, money's not the issue. Logistically, it's just gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Well, but I'd be willing to help fund. Borrow my rifle and send video of the nice hunt.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate to hear that.
Well,
I know.
It is.
I kind of wondered that when you brought it up.
And
the more you thought about it.
Yeah. And trying to acquire help, and it's just tough. Everybody's got lives. Everybody's busy.
Sure.
And my problems aren't somebody else's.
Right. Don't you wish more of society saw it that way?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Yeah.
Lord, yes.
Yeah. The fact that you're confused about your gender is not my problem.
Not my problem. And I'm not going to be.
I heard a comedian
pushed into the forced language either.
Right? No, absolutely not.
I'm not.
No, I refuse.
I mean, we're going to start doing that. Then everybody in the world is going to have to refer to me as brilliant and handsome.
His Majesty.
From now on, yeah. Brilliant and handsome king, and you need to do this when you come before me.
Right.
And if you don't, I'm going to get offended and sue you.
Triggered.
I'm triggered. I'll have to call my boss and tell her she has to put some time aside for trigger warnings.
That's right. I saw a comedian.
If you're watching this, Minnie, I'm just kidding.
I saw a comedian, and he said, just because you are overweight, awkward, and unpopular doesn't mean you have a different gender.
Yeah. You notice, though, if you notice.
I know.
Most of the ones that are confused is because they didn't want. Never mind. That's just hateful.
Have you seen the?
That's hateful, and I'm not going.
Have you seen the video from the airport where this Netflix transgender star, whatever that means,
and young black man,
yeah,
and the black guy
he just called him out.
He didn't care.
No,
praise him.
Yeah.
Way to go, young man.
He stood up and just said, I'm not going to have it. I will call Port Authority and have you removed.
He
so
said,
I have two choices. You can go sit down and wait for your plane, or I'm going to have you drug out of the airport.
Way to go, young man.
And the tranny posted that video thinking that he was going to get all sorts of support, and people were just lambasting him.
Well,
tore him up.
What's his name? Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum. He's got a TikTok page. I think YouTube too. He posted that video. That's where I saw it was off his page. And when he posted that video, he said, if they fire him, I'm starting a GoFundMe page.
Right.
And I've been I follow him.
Yeah.
So if he starts a GoFundMe page, we're pitching in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're pitching into that.
Throw
young
a couple
man.
of bucks in
you
there.
ain't kidding. Yeah. I just, oh my God. We enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough, man.
Yeah.
And
your delusion is not my problem.
Well, first off, your rights don't trump mine.
Right.
And when you think they do, that's when your first was wrong.
Yeah.
And your second of wrong is the whole delusion thing.
Right.
You thinking that your delusion is my problem. You've got a mental illness.
Yeah.
If you think you are a they or them, that's a multiple personality.
That's right.
That's the only way that can happen.
And the only thing worse than they and them is Z and Zer.
I don't even know what a Z and Zer is.
I don't either.
I don't even know how to describe it.
No.
If somebody, and I guess fairly intelligent. I don't know. Sometimes, most of the time, I'm stupid. But I couldn't wrap my head around how to describe that. I can't wrap my head around non-binary or fluid.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
what you're saying is that you're silly and you can't make up your mind.
Well, I think it's deeper than that as far as your mind, I think. But you know, what you're saying is that in the morning, you may wake up feeling like a girl because let's say you're a biological woman. You may wake up in the morning feeling like a girl, but by midday,
your biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, by midday, you may feel like a boy and then be back to a girl by 5, and then 8 o'clock tonight, you're back to a boy.
Or something else.
Or nothing.
Yeah.
I like that really tripped me out. When the one, I think it was a dude. God, I know. But he said,
dude looks like a lady.
Yeah. he said, I say it's a dude. I think it's a dude just because he did have a little bit of a deep voice. I don't know. But he said that sometimes he doesn't feel like a man or a woman.
That's right.
And the guy interviewing him said, well, how does that feel? He said, well, I can't tell you.
Have you seen the video of the woman that was being interviewed by a reporter and she said she is a wolf?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard of the furries.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I hadn't seen the interview.
Yeah. And it just caught him off guard.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just all of a sudden told me, Clay, you was a wolf.
That's right.
I'd be slipping over and making little phone calls.
Yeah, 911.
Yeah.
Somebody's having a mental break over here.
Yeah, boy, I'd be calling our brother and a couple sisters over here. And
I'm telling you,
intervention. Church members. Yeah, we're going to have, before we stick you in a rubber room, we're going to try to pray over you.
I'm telling you, man.
Because you are not a wolf. You're not even foxy. You like what I said? So she tells the interviewer.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, wolf. Absolutely. You have to watch that video.
I did see a funny. This is obviously a parody. There's a guy. He's a construction worker, and I assume he's an iron worker just because of the type of hard hat.
Yeah.
And I used to do iron work, and there's a type of hard hat that most iron workers wear. Anyway, he has a filter that makes your face all funny.
Yeah.
Makes your mouth and eyes real big.
I've seen that guy.
And he's like the boss, and the filter, it's him too, but the filter's like his dumb sidekick.
Yeah.
And now he's integrated an old man that's also an iron worker. This is an old white bearded, just an old hand, you know. Yeah. And he's pretty funny. Well, they hired him a new hand. I don't think any of it's real, but they hired him a new hand that thinks she's a cat. You got a litter box.
I've seen that one. Yeah,
and the guy says, the old man, he says he's got a daggum leash in his tool belt.
I've seen that.
And the guy, he's like, I know. He said, I didn't know about the leash, but he came with a good resume. And he said, the old man said, well, I need a little time off. I'm going down to the dollar store. You can't just leave in the middle of work. He said, I'm going to go buy that boy some cans of cat food.
And if he don't eat it,
I'm going to whoop
Oh, man.
Yeah, he said, well, you can't buy the cake. He said, no, I'm not letting you do that. He said, okay, I'm going back to work. He said, but next time he purrs at me, when I hand him an impact, we got trouble.
I've seen that one.
But, you know, this poor generation, misinformed, ill-guided generation is going to have a hard time trying to find a job. Well, I'm middle-aged, almost middle-aged. Not quite middle-aged. Yeah. And
you're older than dirt.
I've been a boss for a couple years.
Yeah.
In my careers. Sure. I've been a boss on different jobs, and if I looked at your application and I saw that you were Mr. and Mrs. and a Z and a Z, I'm stopping right there. Yeah. I'm probably not going to read the rest of it. I may for entertainment purposes, but that would, and I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no,
that would come across my desk, and I would go, oh God, I don't want that in my workforce, because you're going to sow discord through the whole thing. Everybody's going to bow.
Constant issue.
Everybody's going to bow to your little needs and wants and your little trigger moments and everything. Absolutely. It's going to be horrible.
I have spent most of my life in some sort of supervisory or managerial position. I've done hiring and firing most of my life. And I tell you now, if I ever had a resume come across my desk and your pronouns are in your resume, I'm done.
That's it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, I don't even want to entertain the interview.
No.
Because I'm inviting nothing but problems.
That's right. And probably a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. Eventually it'll become to a lawsuit, because you're not going to be able to do everything that they demand. And
you're not using the women's bathroom.
And, well, you're not going to be able to, there's no way you can accommodate everything. You can't.
And what was that? Time blind?
Yeah. Let's say you decided to accommodate the woman's bathroom, and I come in, I said, hey, I'm with my full beard, and I said, I'm a girl. Yeah. Like, well, we gotta respect that. What about your other women? Right. And all of a sudden, I go in there and pull my tallywhacker out.
Right.
And I'm looking for a urinal on the wall, and there's not one, so I'll just use the sink.
Yeah.
Because it's handy.
That's right.
And now there's potential for some other lawsuits.
Yeah.
I mean, it cannot turn out good.
Yeah.
It just cannot. The only way it could be good, and I still don't see it being good like this, is if all your employees
that'd be a mess.
Had pronouns.
That'd be a mess.
But you'd have to have them too.
That would be a mess.
Birds of a feather kind of thing.
That would be, yeah. I wouldn't even want to go near that building.
I wouldn't want to buy what they were selling either.
No.
I would. But, honestly, though, as a boss or potential boss,
yeah,
you wouldn't even be considered.
Right.
And so what are these kids going to do when college is no longer an option?
Well,
they move them back in with mom and dad. Mom and dad are getting older.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And the economy is such that mom and dad probably can't afford to have you back.
Right. And you look at me.
Yeah.
I'm middle-aged. And if I was to move back in with my mother's 84 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
84 years old.
I'm thinking if half of your kids tried to move back home.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to get a second and a third job.
Well, no, they'd have to get work.
Right?
They'd be doing some rent.
Something.
Yeah. My kids could absolutely come home anytime they wanted to. But
they're going to have to contribute.
Realistically, I'd be like, they're grown adults, and I'd be like, sit down, grown adults, and let's talk about this.
Right.
What we've been doing here lately is feeding 2 people.
Yeah.
Now we've got 6.
Right.
We're on the same income.
Yeah.
Can't work. It can't work. I don't care if you have to go out and pick up pecans. You're going to do something to earn money. I've done all of it.
Yeah.
I've picked up pecans. I've raked people's yard. I went and knocked on people's doors to see if I could mow their grass.
Yeah.
As a grown man, because the construction work wasn't good right then.
Right.
So you're going to do something
to
work. But that's our society's not like that now.
Right. No.
I mean, look at the
when we were 12 years old, we were mowing lawns.
Right. Because we wanted to go to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And when the snow cone truck come down the road, we wanted a snow cone.
That's right.
And our father said, no problem. Earn money.
That's right.
Because that's what that stuff takes, is money.
So,
and I owe you nothing. And I'm so glad he was that way.
Oh, I do.
God, I'm so glad.
Well, I tell people all the time, my daddy beat a work ethic into me at an early age.
Yes.
And when I say he beat it into me, I mean he beat it
into you. Yeah, squared us right up.
But so I heard the story about this guy. He was down on his luck, and he was going through this neighborhood knocking on doors looking for handyman work, anything that would help. And he gets this one house. He knocks on the door, and the woman answers the door, and he says, he explains the situation. He says, I'm looking, if you've got any odd jobs or anything around here that I could earn a little bit of money, I'd really appreciate it. She says, I'm glad you're here. She says, so around back, there's a porch, and I need to get it painted. There's some green paint in the garage. If you'll paint the porch, that would be fantastic. And so about 2 hours later, the man comes back covered in green paint. And he says, well, we're all done. She says, you done? Oh, that quick? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I don't mess around. She says, well, great. And she hands him the money. He says, by the way, though, that wasn't a Porsche. It was a Mercedes.
I heard that.
Well, listen, we're going to wrap this thing up, but we kind of been a little bit negative today.
Well, I want to stand on the feel-good story.
Well, all right, go for it. Then I've got some advice.
We watched a little video last night, and I don't normally, necessarily bring race into things, but in this story, you just kind of have to. It was a young black kid, teenager, and he lives in this house, and every day he dribbles his basketball all around the driveway and up and down the road and across the street from him, kind of this redneck white dude.
Yeah,
and this kid was so worried that he was making too much noise that he would even go down the road just to dribble. He'd shoot against the tree. And this guy watched him every day do this. Boy, I'm almost going to shed a tear. He gathered up money from the neighborhood, went around without this kid knowing nothing. And Christmas morning, oh man, he knocks on this kid's door. This kid comes to the door, a nervous wreck. He thinks he's in trouble for making noise, disturbing somebody.
Just conscientious.
Well, this kid probably gets that same media about everything being racist and everything just division, and we're supposed to not like each other because you're different skin color or whatever. So there's no telling what his worry or concerns are. But the guy, old redneck looking feller, he knocks on his boy's door and he introduced himself and he said, "You like basketball?" "Yes, sir." Kid was super respectful too, but nervous. You could tell he was super nervous. And he hands him a basketball. He said, well, thank you. He said, well, come on outside for a minute. Comes outside. He's got a box there. It's got the whole basketball rig in it. He said, me and the rest of the community thought if you're going to dribble the ball like that and shoot against trees, you might need a basket. So we decided to pitch in and get you a basket.
Isn't that cool?
And then he said, but there was more than that. They wanted to help. And so he gave him $750 cash on top of the ball and the basket.
Really?
And told him, just stood there and told him, he said, you keep doing what you're doing. You're a good kid. Good kids deserve good things. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep going for your dreams. And why can't just the world do that?
No
Good
doubt.
Lord. And then he hugged that kid, just lost it. Started crying, hugged the guy like it was his long lost uncle.
I love
and
that.
It was nothing but love right there.
Yeah.
Nothing but love and kindness.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? It didn't really cost that guy anything because all the community pitched in. I'm sure he pitched in.
Yeah.
But it cost him a little bit of time and just to think about somebody else.
Right.
Just think about somebody else. Now, I don't know. I'm sitting there watching that video, dude. I'm glad that nobody come try to rob the place because I did not look like a formative security guard with tears rolling down my eyes. But just what a wonderful story.
Absolutely. Well, I've got a little bit of advice. you look at our society, especially if you're watching the news, you look at what's going on in Ukraine and in Israel and in America, southern border, and there's a lot of doom and gloom. A lot of doom and gloom. It'd be real easy to get down. But you know, our scripture verse today, all things are new.
That's right.
If you want to have a happy 2024, then I'm going to tell you that the only way that that's going to be possible is if you know Jesus.
You got to have hope.
That's right. And if you know Christ, remind yourself every moment of every day who it is that you serve. Our hope is not in this world.
What is hope, Clay?
Hope is a joyful expectation of certain things to come.
Not the deluded hope
not
that
we
we
wish.
Yeah,
I hope it doesn't rain today.
Yeah.
No. It is the joyful expectation of certain things to come.
That's right.
And if you know Christ, remind yourself daily, every moment of every day, that our hope isn't in the United States government. It's not in Washington, D.C.
No.
It's not in this world. Our hope is in Christ and in Him alone. And you know what? What's going to happen in 2024 is going to happen.
Yes, indeed.
It is going to happen.
Yep. And it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It is, no matter what it is.
That's it. No matter what it is, it's going to be all right.
If you know Christ.
Yeah, well, I'm speaking on my authority.
If you don't know Christ, then you have no hope.
There is. Then your hope relies in Washington.
Yeah.
The rich men north of Richmond.
There you go.
That's where your hope lies.
What we need to do.
I pray for you.
What we need to do, all of us, is we need to take 2024 as an opportunity to grow closer and closer in our walk with the Lord.
Amen.
And, as Paul said, so much more as you see the day approaching.
Boy.
And the day's approaching.
Fast.
All right.
Fast.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, folks. I'm so glad that you all joined us. I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation that we had. Again,
Me too.
if you did, give us a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back, Lord willing, next Thursday. We try to do this every Thursday.
Yep.
And
you back on the mend, so I think we're on the move.
Yep. Well, listen, guys, I pray that you all have an amazing 2024, regardless of what's going on around us.
That's right.
Regardless of what happens.
Absolutely. I will continue to grow and go in 2024.
There you go. Folks, thank y'all. Have a wonderful day, and Happy New Year.
Amen.